Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to another episode of the Shine Out Loud Show with me, Lillian Ogbogo. Now, as you can see, I have not one, I have two guests for the price of one. I have a father and son duo here who are going to share time with me and tell me a little bit about their story. I'm talking to Kevin Thornton and Remy Sainte. Now, Kevin is a life coach, wellness coach, well-being coach, and works with men, especially men within our community, to be whole and well. And he was going to talk to us about his brand new book that's recently come out and his other book that he has and the journey that he has taken to become the man he is today. And I'm speaking to his son, Remy Sainte, who folks may know as Chef Remy or Chemy, who, because of becoming a father, decided that it was time to live his dream as a chef. Cordon Bleu graduate who talks about eating well, living well, and using food as part of your well-being. So welcome, my incredible guest. Hey, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good, good. I'm so pleased to have you both on the show. And we rarely do 2-for-1 shows, and I love having two guests. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so let's start this. Now, I'm going to start with Kevin. We're going to go age before beauty or beauty before age. It depends on which one we were going to work with. It's that kind of show. So, Kevin, I'm curious. How did a spider bite get you back on path to becoming to coaching Black men?
I think a lot of times you feel like you doing the right things or you walking in the purpose that you're supposed to be in, but it's not what really God or the universe really wanted me to do.
Right.
So when I got bit by the brown recluse, which is like a poisonous spider, it had me in the hospital for pretty much like a month.
Oh, wow.
And the hospital I was in, they took my cell phone and my clothes and put security. So then therefore, I had no access to anyone for pretty much a month. I didn't have,
wow.
Because you know, the state of how we are today with cell phones, you don't remember nobody's number by heart. So I couldn't call nobody. So all I had was me and God's time one-on-one so he could, for me to rest because I was working really hard, but also he'd get my attention of what he really wanted me to do.
Okay.
And from there, that's when I realized, I got coached by Iyanla Vanzant, her team,
Yes.
in 2011, and in that was the piece that's got me going, understanding that we need a space for Black men to feel safe and be able to work on themselves to become whole. I think society has made it to where it's not, men are not supposed to feel any kind of emotions or have any kind of vulnerability. So it's either they are laughing or they're angry. That's the only two emotions they're allowed to have. And with that, with the fact that there's a lot of Black men who are not with their fathers, they're broken. And if we want our community to elevate the way we're supposed to, we have to be able to find places for our Black men to feel safe and work on being their best self.
That is absolutely amazing. And especially that part where you're talking about helping Black men to get whole and the only almost two permitted emotions that Black men seem to have, whether it's the joke or it's the rage. And you are a father yourself, and Remy is your son. And how is that, the work that you've done, how has that influenced the way that you have actually been a parent to Remy in terms of him being a father himself? How has that dynamic worked?
Okay, if I'm gonna be completely transparent, I've told him, so for those who are wondering, okay, we chose each other. So he's not my biological son, but we chose each other to be father and son. I feel that God used him to come into my life to be the vessel to also make me understand why what I'm doing is so important. And part of the journey to help me be what I need to be for this man, I had to, walk this path with him. And
Okay.
one of the things that I had to learn for myself is vulnerability, because my parents, their love, the love language of, I love you, all that type of stuff is not their strong suit. So
Hmm.
therefore, it's not my strong suit.
Right.
So my strong suit is acts of service and quality time. So that's how I show my love to people.
Right.
But when I met him and we was going on this journey together as father and son, his love language is affirmation,
Right.
you know, touch. So he's a hugger and all that type of stuff, and that's not me. However,
Okay.
it prepared me to open up and also use that openness and that vulnerability to show the guys that I work with that I'm here for you. I'll make us a safe space, and you're not going to be judged because I'm going to be vulnerable with you as long as you are vulnerable with me. And so
Right.
I use his journey all the time as why, it's important what I do and how I became the man I am at this present moment.
Okay. And that's a powerful story. And I like the fact that you say that you both chose each other to go in this relationship of father and son. And so, Remy, what is it for you being in Kevin's life and the changes and just getting to the point that you are today?
It's very big. Very important to me because I've gone through my own traumas and trials and tribulations over 35 years that I am. And at the end of the day, I can honestly say within the past couple of years of being not only coach but being a son to Kevin, it's like I've learned things that I haven't learned 30 years before that. You know,
Right.
learn how to deal with certain things, learn how to approach certain things in a better way and a more positive light instead of using negativity or even using my trauma as excuses.
Right.
I've learned to let go of a lot of stuff, learn to understand myself more and what it is that I might need. Um, there's still those fears and still those parts of me that doesn't want to let go of certain things or doesn't understand how to do certain things. And I think that's kind of part of the journey with not just myself, but with myself and Kevin, that it's, I guess you could say it's a tug of war in a sense, but I think that just kind of allows you to come to the middle after that tug of war to understand what's going to happen or what needs to happen. So,
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So, you're a chef, but your journey to becoming a chef wasn't a direct path. What drew you to cooking?
um, I've been around cooking my whole life. My grandmother cooked. Haitian American. I'm Haitian American, so my grandmother's first generation Haitian. Um, she was born in Haiti. My dad was born in Haiti. My mom was born here but raised in Haiti. So I've been around cooking all my
Right.
life. I remember just smelling food every day from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that's just how it was. I never really understood what I wanted to do.
Right.
I just knew I wanted to do something with my hands. I love
Right.
to make people happy, love to see people smile. So I've done mechanical engineering, went to school for that, went to school for nursing, did 2 years, finished all my prereqs, literally got into the program and said, no, I'm not doing this,
Okay.
and dropped out. And then that's when it hit me because my son was born in 2013 and I couldn't really find a job, a stable job.
Right.
And I got back into cooking and I had opened my own catering business. And then I went and worked at a restaurant. And that restaurant, I think I was working for probably like $9 or $10 an hour. And I was
Okay.
doing 70 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
And it was grueling, but it was something that I felt like I loved, because at the end of the day, I didn't mind doing the 70 hours, you know, but it was hard.
Mm.
And from there, we went from New York to Atlanta, came here to Atlanta, and that was it. I was like, I'm going to just pursue my dream and just keep going. So,
Okay. So basically, cooking has been a passion of yours. You've experienced it in the home. It's something that has been part of almost your DNA. And I like the fact that part of your journey is the fact that you realized as a father you wanted to provide, and you said, no, I have to put this in place. So that journey is really powerful, and I'm going to come back and we're going to discuss that a bit more. But what I wanted to ask, because I was listening to one of your interviews that you did with Kevin, and you were talking about what the 5 tastes are. So what are the 5 tastes?
so you have bitter, sweet, sour, and then salty. The 5th is technically umami, which is like a meaty flavor.
Right.
So it's not really like it's something that's more so, I want to say, very new and recent within the past 10 years.
Okay.
So it's, as food has been progressing with the modern cuisine and stuff like that, they've quoted that this is a taste. It's like a meaty taste. So basically you get umami from different things. You get umami from the amino acids bottle.
Yeah.
That everybody gets. You get umami from that. You could get umami from just mushrooms.
Okay.
Mushrooms has a very meaty taste, right? Things of that sort. So depending on what you do to them, that's what gives you that meaty-ish taste in your mouth.
Okay. And so I think the question I'll ask from that is, how do we broaden our palate to make sure that we truly understand what we're eating and really experience the taste when we are actually cooking and eating?
So I think I'll say this, a lot of our culture, not even our culture, our community as Black people, right? We like to douse things in sauce, or, take ketchup or barbecue sauce or this or A1 steak sauce, right? How about let's try a steak without sauce, right? Mm-hmm. Just try a steak just for what it is, a steak with salt and pepper, right? Okay. Then you understand the product itself. So in order for you to understand the food or know what it really should taste like, you have to taste it in its original state, in a sense. Right. And the original state normally is just salt and pepper. Because yes, we do have sauces to help enhance that, but then the sauces don't allow you to understand what that product is, right? So I could have French fries, and I could make different French fries from different potatoes. Mm-hmm. But then the moment you put ketchup on it, it kind of all tastes the same, right?
Yeah. Yes, I can see that. I'm more of a mustard girl on my fries, but I get the concept.
So, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's the thing. We have to really take into consideration just kind of eating the food for what it is. And then that's also, I feel like the vegan community is now pushing and becoming bigger because of that.
Right.
Like the fact that they're not adding certain things to their food. And that's also another thing that I think a lot of people, chefs per se too, don't like to either cook or even want to veer towards that way. You get what I'm saying? Because it's literally raw. Like you're just eating everything in its natural state.
Okay.
You're barely doing anything to it. I have a vegan client right now, and I'll tell you, it's very challenging. Very, very challenging. But it's very satisfying too.
Okay. See, I'm going to come to the vegan conversation because you're a chef, and I've looked at your Instagram, and you seem to work with a lot of different types of eating plans and eating ideas. And we're going to come to that. But before I do, I want to swing back to Kevin and talk about, Kevin, you're an author, you're a podcaster, you're a coach. And so how did the journey of your first book, the 20 Beautiful Men book, how did that come about?
That actually came about shortly after I got out the hospital. I got an email from the publisher who said that she saw me on social media and all the positivity that I was doing, and that I was a life coach, and she had this brainchild because she had already did, several versions of 20 Beautiful Women. She
Right.
thought it's time for the men to be heard, and she thought that I'd be a great addition to it. And so since I had been in the hospital for a month, I had a short period of time to write my story,
Right.
and go from there and get it done. But I'm grateful for the opportunity that she gave me.
Okay. So walk us through, what is the 20 Beautiful Men? What is this book about?
So it's 20 men. We all come from different journeys, whether it's life coaching, personal training,
Right.
motivational speakers. All of us are in that kind of realm of either coaching, fitness, or motivational speaking. And we
Right.
tell our journey, how we become who we are. So people could, and so we use it as a form of motivation. So like one of my guys that I'm really cool with, he was overweight,
Right.
and he made his journey into becoming a bodybuilder.
Oh, wow. That's a
So,
journey.
but he also is a personal trainer. So that transformation, so it shows you, it was like a motivation to those who are looking to become healthier,
Okay.
And then for me, my story is pretty much leaving corporate, because I went to Detroit to visit a friend, and she always called me her eating friend, and she was like on her last deathbed,
Oh, wow.
and she was like, she saw the change in me and the maturity in me, and she was like, "You're going to be in the ministry." That kind of like shook me, because I never thought myself, when I'm thinking of ministry, I'm thinking like being a preacher or something like
Right.
that, and that's not what I felt was going to be it. But then as I talked to her daughter, her granddaughter, which is my close friend, she was like, "What you're doing now is your ministry.
Hmm.
How you inspire the people and how you work with the men, that's your ministry. It doesn't have to mean that I'm gonna be a pastor or anything like that." She said, "So that's your ministry. Your ministry is to inspire and educate people to be their best version." And that's where I'm at.
And that's a very powerful ministry to have, because it's not just influencing your life, it's influencing your clients, it's influencing your son, your grandson. There's a ripple effect. And when we look at the work that you do, because the work that you do, the core of your work is changing how society and the media views the Black man. So how
Mhm.
do we start uprooting this hetero masculine culture that hold Black men hostage?
You know, first of all, we're gonna have conversations. And what I realized, I used to have a men's roundtable discussion on my podcast.
Okay.
And one time I'm Gen X, and then I had some baby boomers, and then I had Remy, and those who are considered millennials. I had them on, and I saw the disconnect that we have between the baby boomers and the millennials. And it was funny because my father is turning 80 in July, and he
Okay.
watched the video. He watched the video, and he was very impressed with his grandson. He said that, as him being 80, like be 80, he connected more with the millennials than he did with my generation and the older generation.
Okay.
He felt that his generation and the generation before, after, failed our men,
Hmm.
because we had the mindset of, everything was fear based.
Yeah, right.
You had to fear your father, you had to fear your mother, and your parents could be disrespectful to you, and it's okay. I wasn't raised like that.
Right.
So my father at 80 always taught my brother and I that you have to command and demand respect, including if it's coming from us.
Yeah.
So he gave us permission to hold them accountable. if we felt they were being disrespectful.
That's
That's
powerful.
it's very powerful. And so that's as I came into his life, that's what I wanted to let him see that, you have to command and demand respect. And just because someone is your elder does not give them the right to be disrespectful to you.
Absolutely.
And in that, I think part of the problem is the older generation. A lot of us did have our fathers. So that toxic masculinity comes in because we've been raised to be strong, not be in touch with our feelings or anything like that. So then we're looking at the millennials, who a lot of these millennial men are growing up with our fathers. So they're more in touch with their feminine side because they've been around their mothers more. And they don't have a lot of masculine energy because there's not a lot of men in their lives. So that's where I feel the disconnect is. And so then therefore we have to, it's part of us, our generation can release some of the thoughts and the behaviors that we have grown accustomed to, and be able to listen to them and learn some of the things from them that, because my honest belief, the millennials are more socially or emotionally intelligent than
Right.
we are.
Okay.
And that's what we need to learn from.
Okay, so it's about the education, it's about understanding the emotions. And you mentioned something about, being in touch with your feminine side, less of the masculine energy. But, I remember back, and this is going back a while, when you listen to people tell young boys, don't cry, only sissies cry, only girls cry. Why are you acting like a bee? And being in your feelings. How have we, and this is for both of you, how have we allowed emotions to be demonized and being human to be demonized in Black men? And from the perspective of a coach, and Remy, yourself as a dad to a young boy, how are you managing to help him find his way with his emotions?
I don't mind. I don't know if you guys mind me speaking first, but
Of course.
I think when it comes to the whole feelings aspect, obviously it starts with the oppression. And it's not just oppression of slavery, right? Times it's the stuff that was carried on after through our generations. We do it to ourselves too, right? Like we tell each other, like we were just saying, we tell each other it's not, men don't cry.
Yeah.
You gotta keep your head up. Men don't have feelings. Don't be a little bitch, all this other stuff, right? End of the day, like we're all humans. We cry, we bleed, we go to the bathroom one of two ways, right? It's we're all humans. So I know I've been out there in the streets and all that. So I've been around certain people to know that the people that are even the hardest people that we think, they cry just the same, if not even worse, when they're behind closed doors, right? So why is it that we're telling our kids we're not supposed to cry? Just back to what Dad was saying. It's generations beforehand that had this mentality of you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, because that's not traits of a man.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there is no real written book or any real written traits for what it is like to be a man.
Exactly.
We follow what we see, just like women follow their mothers and what they see in their mother, right? So everything that we get is from what we are taught, not just verbally, but observing and watching and seeing our parents do what they do. And that's essentially what you learn how to do. You follow that same course, no matter if they tell you, oh, I didn't teach you how to do that, or I didn't show you that. That's not what I taught you. That's what I saw you do though.
Okay.
So as a father, and I'm a father of three, so I have my son is my oldest. I have my two younger daughters. So as a father, I'm more in touch with my feelings, being who I am and going through this course and this journey with dad, it's
Right.
at the end of the day, I use what I've learned with my son. So I have conversation with him. I speak to him. I tell him it's okay to cry when he's about to cry or while he's crying. I don't wipe his tears. I allow him to wipe his tears. If I see now it's extreme, it's something different, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you have to treat your kids like they're humans, because that's what they are. They didn't ask to be here. Nobody asked to be here. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask my mom to have me or my father to have me, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you still have to treat these kids as humans because they're here now. They need to understand what's going on in the world. They need to understand when they step outside the door. Yes, you cannot, some days you may not come back. There may be a day that you don't come back, you know? But if you put it to them early and you allow them to understand, and then you also walk a path where you want them to, what you want them to see is what they're going to ultimately learn, then I think at the end of the day, you've done your job. So what I do now is I do things because that's what I want my son to see.
Okay.
Because I know he's always watching.
Absolutely.
He's always
Yeah.
watching.
Children always watch.
So that's something that a lot of people don't understand. It's literally just walk a walk that you want your kids to watch.
From my point of view too, is I agree wholeheartedly with Remy said. I told my dad that, not say this to everybody who knows me. I have myself and my brother. We're 2 years apart. Personality traits are polar opposites. But who we are as a man, we are just alike because we both imitate our father.
Okay.
And so that goes to what Remy said. Even though what he say and what he do and how he act, we have that video camera in our memory and we watching everything. So then now as I walk this journey with him, there's a lot of things I say and do to him, towards him, that I got from my father. And so what I know for a fact as a coach, because so many men have been taught that they can't express their feelings,
Yeah.
they're broken and they're walking around broken, they hurt. So when they muster up the energy and the strength to reach out to me to get coached, Lillian, honestly, every single one within the first 5 or 10 minutes of our first session, they're crying. And they, I don't look at them. I tell them to release it. I tell them to release it. When I first met Remy, it was I asked him a question one time, and I wanted him to allow his heart to break. And what hurt my feelings was he wouldn't allow it to happen. And I asked him why. He said he was so scared that if he let his heart to break, he wouldn't know how to put it back together.
That's a powerful statement.
And that's how a lot of these men are, because they've never been taught to allow to feel and allow their heart to break, and know that once it's broken, it's going to mend back together. But we never taught that, and so from that experience, I allow them to allow their heart to break.
I think it's something very powerful that you can actually create a space, a safe space for men to actually release and allow their humanity to return. So, Kevin, hats off to you, to the work that you do. And, we're going to touch more about the work that you do, because you have a brand new book out, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But looking at the work that you do, looking at the journey that you've come from, how can ordinary people like you, myself, like my listeners, how can they start making sure that they are creating a positive atmosphere for their partners, for their sons, for their godsons, for all the men in their life to feel safe, to release, feel human, and feel seen? What are the things that they can put in place?
Go first. I'm sorry.
Conversation. That's the only thing I'm gonna say there, because I said it on his show before. Conversation is what needs to be done.
Conversation. Okay. Thank you, Remy.
I agree. But it has to be conversation. But I feel that it's also the energy that you give out to the people to make them feel safe as well.
Right.
And so for me, I tell everybody you have to have a ritual in the morning of how you want to show yourself to the world.
Right.
So for me, when I wake up, you know, um, I hydrate, but then I'll meditate first, and then I'll pray second,
Okay.
and then I don't look at my phone. Um, I don't look at my phone. I don't watch TV. I
Mm-hmm.
don't listen to the radio until I get this together because I want to set the tone of how I want my day to be, how I want to show myself to the world. Because if I don't do this and I become reactive and I'm reacting to what, how people want me to be,
Yeah.
and I want to take that control. And so I feel as if everybody take 30 minutes to an hour of their day in the morning to set that tone, then the energy they get out to the world is much, much better.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people around you will feel safer to talk to you.
Okay. So basically, you're saying how you start your day is crucial. Having that time for that ritual to make sure that you are presenting the best version of you into the world, and so that you're not coming from a reactionary place. Remy would
Absolutely.
say the conversations and the quality of conversations that we have will make it a lot better for men to feel safer with us, especially us as women.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And,
I'm
and,
liking.
and then I can say one more thing especially for the ladies that's listening. Because the reality is, it's not just the men who have adapted the mindset that men should not feel. There's a lot of women who feel that same way.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And so if if the women want the best version of the men that they want to attract to them, the women has to also change their mindset of how they view men, and they have to be able to create that safe space for the men to show vulnerability, because once you show that you're not safe, they're definitely going to close up.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they get to the point where they felt safe and they got vulnerable, and then they told you some stuff because they felt safe with you, and then in the midst of an argument you use his vulnerability and use what he told you as a weapon to hurt him, then you also have pushed everything back. And so that's the thing I would also like to offer to the women who listen to your show.
Thank you so much for that. And I think the point, that underlining point, you cannot use what is said to you in confidence in that safe space as a weapon. That is crucial. And I think anybody listening, both male and female, that should be, if they take away anything from the conversation today, should be it. And so, and there are more conversations about this, and we're going to talk about this a bit more. But I want to talk about food a bit, because this is something universal to all of us. And when we're talking about food, we know that you were influenced by your grandmother in terms of cooking. How does your heritage as a whole influence your view of food, Remy?
I guess the Haitian culture is an amazing one. Obviously, it comes from our African diaspora. Um, you know, a lot of our food has come from Africa. Period.
Right.
Even the food that we eat here in the States, uh, it's just. I think it's the flavors, it's the process, it's how much love is put into the food that really builds and creates a passion for me.
Right.
I've I don't know. Anything food wise, I'm there. Anything food wise, I'm there. Anything to deal with food cooking, I'm there. Yes, sometimes it's overwhelming because, I may work 12 hours a day or 16 hours a day, and then I don't want to cook when I come home, but I damn sure will eat. It doesn't matter about cooking. I will make sure I eat though. But yeah, I love being Haitian.
Hmm.
When I was younger, I couldn't really speak the tongue too well, so I wasn't speaking Creole too much, but I understood it. My grandmother spoke it to me all the time, and I think I was the only grandchild that she fluently spoke it to, but I would answer in English. So I guess I had a disconnection back then, and I didn't feel I was Haitian enough.
Right.
But with her, she always told me, like, this is who you are, this is our people, and you are who you are. So it doesn't matter if you understand it more or don't speak it. You are who you are, and this is our connection to food. And she always was on it when it came to that. So yeah.
Your grandmother sounded like an incredible woman.
Oh yes, she was. She was the matriarch of the family. She did some things. She was like Big Mama. We didn't call her Big Mama, but that was Grandma. She was it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this is also all grandmothers. I mean, I watched this Twitter video this morning of the grandmothers in discussion because the new auntie put shrimp in the potato salad and there was problems. And I'm like, somebody's getting their potato salad privilege taken away from them. I am British and I know this. So, we're talking about food. We're talking about both your journeys. Now, one of the things I want to look at, because when we think about fine dining, when we think about cordon bleu, haute cuisine, especially, we think about certain types of foods. Now, with my ancestry being Nigerian, and people say, well, Nigerian food is not elegant, and I give them all side eye because I know some people who are doing some incredible things with food. What do you say to people who say that Caribbean and even Haitian food, let's focus on Haitian, cannot be elegant?
What's the term? That's rubbish, right? Anything could be made into beauty. From the start, I'll tell you this. As much as people may look at it like, oh, Haitian food is not this or it's not that, it can't be elegant. It can be, and it is already, right? But everybody's eyes see differently, correct?
Yes.
So like if all three of us view the same picture.
Yes.
All three of us will see different things within that picture or that painting.
Yes.
So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But at the end of the day, too, the portrait, the painting, the picture, it still was beautiful before we even looked at it.
Yes.
Right? So Haitian food, for one, that's something that I'm in the midst of doing. I know there's other chefs doing it too currently, trying to modernize it, trying to make it look better in a sense. It takes time because you have to go from what we culturally know as in like taking our jus coulé and just putting the rice on the plate, taking griot, which is fried pork, and just putting that on the plate, taking bon pesé, which is, fried plantain, and putting that on a plate. You have salad, and then it's just a plate of 4 or 5 different things, right?
Okay.
But then how do you make it look nice because of modernistic or using modernistic ways? It's now you condense things, right? You use things in a different light. Like you may take that rice and literally turn it into a cracker instead of it now being a pile of rice. It's a cracker, but it's still rice. It's still jus coulé, rice and beans, You might take those several pieces of griot, and instead of several pieces, it's just one whole piece, but very small, nice and long, in a different type of shape, like things of that sort. So again, I know I'm not the only one doing it currently, but I'm in the midst of doing that because I've worked with Michelin star chefs. I've worked with celebrity chefs and stuff like that. So I've learned some things throughout the time that I've been in the culinary industry. And in all honesty, it's going to take some time because you have to break that cycle, that cultural cycle, right? Because not everybody wants to eat rice as a cracker, right? They want to see their rice,
Yes.
right? Even I have friends right now, like I said, age of 35, I have friends that we grew up, that's how we grew up, eating just rice, beans, this, that, and the third. They don't even want to see that. They're like, that's not enough. A cracker, what are you doing for me? Like, I need to see that big pile of rice in the middle of my plate so I know what I'm eating. And it's just kind of breaking that cycle and getting out of that mentality. I think once we're out of that mentality, food of our African diaspora is going to be amazing. You know, like we're going to have those modern 5-star, 3-star Michelin restaurants, you know, where it's just Caribbean food, it's just African food.
Yeah.
Like, and it's going to take time because it's our food has, say it again.
It's a journey. It's going to be a journey.
Yes, it's a journey, and our food is literally now on the come up in a sense, right? Even though at the end of the day, we all know that the majority of the food and how it's made in the States has come from Africa during the slave trade. Like that's it. Like rice came from there, you know, things like black eyed peas, things like okra, yams. All that is grown in certain areas that cannot be grown here in the States because of the weather and temperature. So we have to understand that. I think once we break certain cycles and understand our history of food, then certain things are happening. And it's happening right now, currently. So I'm happy to be part of that.
That is really great. And I think that whole, when you talk about food and the history of food in terms of different things, and when people say, oh, plantain, and then it's eaten in it unifies all of us because I recognize plantain, and I'm definitely, because for me that's cultural. And so it is that conversation that we have with food and the relationship with food. So I'm looking forward to seeing that and seeing the progression and, you know, with the work that you do. And so you became a chef, you started working, you've worked with Michelin star chefs. How did you go from all of that to then a private chef?
Like I said earlier, I've always wanted to see people smile, right? So getting into culinary was I think, where and how I wanted to see people smile, because I love watching people eat my food and then love getting the critique, even if it's not positive, right? So that I could better myself. Going through all those steps of working with celebrity chefs, working with Michelin star chefs, working in casual places, working in not so casual places, I think I learned how to build relationships with people and understand people. Right. And then know how to just be myself when I'm in my element. Right. So I wanted to be a private chef / personal chef, all because I felt like that intimacy. Because, you know, like Dad said earlier, I'm somebody that likes affirmation and touch. Right. So also love the natural feeling of intimacy. Right. And intimacy doesn't mean just sexual. Like it's that relationship that you build, that closeness that you build with somebody. And being in somebody's home, that allows me to show me, like, who I am, not just with food, but who I am personally. You know, having clients that may have kids or dogs as their kids, and you're interacting with that, it's almost like still being a father / uncle / you know, cousin, but this is not your family per se, but then it becomes an extension of your family. Right. Because you build that relationship where that person now becomes part of your life. You know, like right now I have a private client that I said, you know, earlier, that was vegan, or that is vegan. And her partner are producers, and I'm in their house every week. And literally, like, we talk, we joke, we laugh, we talk about serious matters that go on in this world, and they become family. Right. You know? But that's important. And even like her father, my client's name is Amanda. Won't go last name, but her father just had a stroke, and he's somebody that I talk to every day. He comes in the kitchen, sits down, and talks to me while I'm cooking. I call him big guy and this, that, and the third. We're talking as though, he's this uncle of mine, and it's really satisfying. It's really satisfying. So
That's awesome. And so how can people book you, connect with you to find out to book your services?
so you could go on my Instagram. Right now my Instagram is _Chemy30, right? I also have a page. So my company is called Not Manger. Not Manger is a company that I built starting last year. It's something that's been in the works. I just never had a name for it.
Okay.
I think that's another reason why I just never started anything with it, because I didn't want to have something that wasn't natural.
Right.
So the name came naturally. Not manger means we're eating in Creole.
Okay.
So it's not to just say that it's with food, because I want to go in different directions with it. So it's the term we're eating. When I say that, I mean mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, like we're eating.
Right.
And then we're going to do this together. So with Not Manger, I have built other things like mélange, which obviously we all know means mixture, right? Le mélange is a mixture.
Okay.
Le mélange is going to be the aspect that I actually start doing private dinings and dinners. So I'll be doing that. We're doing like different tasting courses and stuff like that. So I have Le Mélange on Instagram right now.
Okay.
Not Manger doesn't have a legit Instagram,
Okay.
just because I kind of work it through my chef Instagram, which is _Chemy30, like I said. But if you would want to contact me, you could contact me via Instagram, or you could contact me at Not Manger ATL. So it's NAPMANJEATL@gmail.com.
Okay. So
And
we'll put all of that in the show notes so that people can find out how to contact you directly and how to go to your socials. Now, Kevin, you've been sitting there patient because I have some more questions for you. In fact, I'm going to actually, before I go to the questions I'm going to ask, what is your favorite thing, Kevin, that Remy cooks for you?
I would say he created this burger.
Okay.
It was an old his way of like reliving a movie that a movie. It was like a picture he saw, so he recreated the burger.
Ooh.
And he called it the Old Dog Burger, and it was very good. That the spices from the heat, along with the creaminess of the cheese, and then and I didn't put like no condiments. And I'm a condiment guy. I didn't put any condiments on it, so I ate it as how he wanted it created.
Okay.
And for me to do that, and I was able to eat it all up, that was a lot to me. And I told him that because I am a condiment guy.
Okay.
But I'm listening to him and not use as much condiments, because I do want to be able to learn how to taste the food that is being created.
Okay. So, Remy, what movie did that burger come from, and what was in that burger?
So it was inspired by Menace to Society, as
Okay.
we all know, one of the classic hood movies in a sense, as we say. And it was inspired by O-Dog when he held up the garbage bag and asked him, "Does anybody want a double cheeseburger?" So I have that picture that I posted, and then I built it based off of what I thought O-Dog would be if he was like this hood foodie, right? Like this dude that was in the hood that just loved food,
Uh-huh.
but nobody really wanted to listen to him, right?
Uh-huh.
So it was on a brioche bun. It was 2 patties of just nicely ground beef, and then I made a sorghum bacon jam.
Okay.
Instead of cheese, I made a smoked Gouda cheese sauce.
Ooh.
So it kind of like it captures the whole burger. You know how like when you melt cheese, it just kind of goes over the patty. It just went over the whole burger in the bottom of
Yeah.
the bun, right? So it like just covers the whole thing. Then I made a charred onion mustard,
Okay.
and I also had what my hot sauce is called. I call it lakai.
Lakai.
Lakai means home or
Uh-huh.
house in
Okay.
Creole, and it's a house-made hot sauce that I make all the time.
Okay.
You know, certain peppers and certain spices, and I have a recipe for it. So I'll be putting it out there sooner or later.
Cool. Looking forward to
And
it.
it has lakai in it, and I mean it's simple, right? But it's just the flavors. I felt like the sweet from the bacon jam, the creaminess, like Dad said, from the cheese sauce, and then the heat actually comes from not just the hot sauce, but the mustard itself, because it's a homemade mustard.
Okay.
Mustard
So I
seed.
love how you say that's simple, Remy. I love the fact that Kevin, back me up here. Everything he's saying, he's like, yeah, it's just really simple. The man
Right.
said bacon jam. Please tell me where bacon and jam normally meets together, and tell me that's
Right.
simple.
And then not only that, we went to when he was getting ready to create this, we went to Whole Foods and he got the what's it, the sorghum. I didn't even know what that was. And but it's simple to him. But I don't even know
Yeah,
half
no,
the
I
stuff
mean,
he's
it's
talking
of course it's simple. We do this every day.
about.
But that's the thing. Once you're in your element, it just feels like it's it's something. It just rolls off your shoulders. Like, oh yeah, whatever. I've done this before. I'm okay
So
with it.
when you decide to make your way across the pond, you will be making that burger for me.
Sure. Gotcha.
All right, so we're talking about food, but we're also talking about the journey for Black men, especially with the prevalent where we are right now in the world and with the work that you do, Kevin. And one of the things that we know is a growing problem, and there are stats to prove that a Black person in the States, let me rephrase that, a Black man in the States dies from suicide every 4.5 hours in the Black community, and not just men, but also women as well. Why is the community still not talking about suicide? Why is it still the shame and stigma attached to it?
Good question. Um, Suicide and mental health, period, is something of shame for us, and I don't understand why. I think we look at it as if we're crazy because we have a mental health issue. And it's not that we're crazy. It's just that we see things differently, react to things a little bit differently, and we just need that help or that support to just talk it through. But what we have to get past as a community is stop instead of saying not being okay to see a life coach or
Yeah.
being okay to see a therapist.
Yes.
Instead of saying is do that instead of saying go to church and pray over it. That is not going to work.
And
It's
we are
not.
not saying prayer doesn't have a place.
It's a part of the process, but you need that person that's going to be an unbiased person who's going to talk to you, make you feel safe, to express what is the issues going on that is caused you to feel this depression.
Mm.
And the reality is we all have triggers, we all have traumas,
Yes.
but the problem is we gotta be willing to work with and try to work on healing those traumas. And the fact that we have a lot of men out here that are being raised in a fatherless home, people doesn't realize how affecting that is to these men.
Mm.
You see these men out in the streets, and they get women. Getting a woman is not the issue for them. The issue is the sense of lack of worthiness they have because the father chose not to be part of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So then that affects their self-esteem. So you have all these men who are feeling less than, not worthy because the person who have created them don't want to be part of their lives.
Yeah.
So that's painful. So they dealing with abandonment is a huge issue that a lot of people don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And so we have to we have to stop shaming people who couldn't handle it and they commit suicide. We have to stop shaming people who choose to go to a therapist, who choose to go to see a life coach to help them become better.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, we need to embrace it and make it, normal because other cultures it's normal to them.
Yeah.
To go to a therapist, go to a life coach. It's us that make it
Abnormal.
a negative thing. And if we ever want to elevate ourselves as a community, we have to embrace that.
Yes. Thank you. And I think here's my question along this line. The phrase "man up." How do you both deal with that phrase? Do you use it? Do you not? Because for me, I think that phrase is dangerous.
It is. Remy, you go first.
I used to use it because it's something that was embedded or learned, not just embedded, but it was something that was learned and taught, when you're around friends, certain family in the streets, like to man up, to not to, again, cry, not to look weak or anything like that. Nowadays, I don't. Being a father, I think, has changed my view on certain things a lot. So I would never say man up to somebody. It's, do you want to talk? It's, have you spoken about this?
Right.
Have you thought about speaking about that? Who do you feel safe around to speak to? Not everybody, like Dad was saying, not everybody feels safe to talk to people, right? So end of the day, you have to feel safe first. And sometimes it could be your mom that you feel safe around. So you might be able to talk to your mom, but then your mom has a real biased opinion because that's your mom.
Yeah.
Right? It could be your dad, if your dad is in your life, but he might have a biased opinion. So you have to find that unbiased person and talk. So that word man up is very lethal because, again, there's no real written book or real terms on how to be a man or what a man is or what a real man is, right? So telling somebody to man up is like telling them to jump off a bridge in a sense, because you're not telling them really what to do. Like, it's just a term that somebody could take and go right, left, straight, forward, backward, it doesn't matter. You got to tell the person what it is to do. Like, ask them what's going on and understand what's going on. And I think that term we shouldn't be using anymore. Something that's not good for us.
I agree.
I agree.
I don't use it. I understand that with the growing rate of men not having father figures, you asking them to do and be things that they never saw before.
Yeah.
So instead of saying man up, I use it as an opportunity, as a teaching opportunity to teach them the things that they should, how they, it should be done, or how they should do things, or how they should see things. But to say man up, to me, it's like you saying what they're doing makes them less of a man. They're still a man, but a lot of these men don't have the tools because they haven't had a male figure in their presence to show them how to act, be, and do.
Mm.
And so, that's what I feel that I use with my coaching, the opportunity to teach these men to see it from a different perspective. Because that, like I said before, there's not a lot of male um, presence. So you can't ask them to be something that they've never seen before.
Okay. And that's important. They need to be able to see it. And then when you're saying, like you said, when you say man up, it's then saying you totally dehumanize them in the
Right.
same breath. So yes, so thank you for that. And thank you both for that, because that is a phrase that actually for me bothers me. I am an aunt to nephews. I have big nephew, tiny nephews, and I want them to fully express themselves and be able to be fully human. And I don't want to limit what it means for them to be a man in this world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Kevin, we're going to talk about your brand new book called Waking Up and Winning, Volume 2, which
Hmm.
actually came out last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's talk about this some more. What is the book?
So
How did it come out?
it came out. I have been working on it with a group of people. There are life coaches, podcasters themselves, and we wanted to create a book for men and women to, especially during this time of COVID.
Mhm.
Um, Everybody's going through a lot of self-reflection, and just because we're going what we're going through COVID does not mean you cannot wake up with a winning attitude
True.
on a daily basis. And so therefore, it's all about the power of the mindset, and and wake up with the mindset and the intentions every day to wake up to win.
Yes.
And so we wrote stories and give techniques of what we think, what we do to wake up winning every morning, and what we recommend to our clients to what they could do to wake up every morning. Because waking up um, winning every morning is about how you want to see your life.
Hmm.
And if you see your life in a negative aspect, the first thing you need to do is change the way you see your life. And then from there, you know that each day is an opportunity to take what you go where you at and take to a higher place.
Right.
And so that's what I do, you know. And I wake up every morning and I tell people not just to ask, God or the universe, whatever you believe, to bless you, but I also ask God, while He's blessing you, how can you be a blessing to someone else?
Mm.
Because in order to receive, you have to be a giver as well.
Yes. That's actually very powerful. So how can people get hold of this book?
They can go to my website, www.kevinthornton. I'm sorry, www.kevinlthornton, consulting.com.
Okay.
If they have any issues with that, they can also hit me up on Instagram at the Wellness Architect, and they could DM me, and I can give you some information from there as well. But if
Awesome.
they go to my website, they will be able to get it from there.
All right, we'll put the links in the show, guys, for you to reach out and find out more about the book. And we've come to that point where in the show we normally celebrate a person of fin that it's our so loud moment. We call it our so loud moment, and this is where we get to shout out for someone, either a person of fin. You can even celebrate yourself. So, Kevin, what are you celebrating? What is your so loud moment?
Um, I'm going to be a proud father. I'm going to celebrate and shout out Remy. Um, he not only is he a personal chef, but he's also a sous chef at an amazing restaurant called Muscle Turners here in Atlanta, and that's a promotion for him. Um, so and in the short period of time he's been doing this job, you can see the change in his demeanor, change in his spirit. Um, he he doesn't mind the long hours because is they feed his creativity,
Mm.
but then but he's a great teacher as well. But the one thing I told him when I first met him, and I told him what his gift is what will make him an excellent chef and an excellent executive chef, is he know how to meet everybody where they're at, and from where they're at, be able to elevate them up.
Mm.
And for that, I shout him out.
That's an awesome shout out. So, Remy,
Man.
what are you going to celebrate?
I want to celebrate my journey that I've had with myself and with Kevin. In all honesty, I feel like I probably wouldn't be in the space that I'm in if it wasn't for the work that I put in with him and the relationship that we have. I was really bad. I was messed up some years ago. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Didn't know how to work on myself, get through my traumas and stuff like that. So it's been a journey. It's been tough, very tough. I'll say that. But I'm happy. And I truly can say that I do try to celebrate it every day and stay positive about it. So that's my shout out. It's the journey that we've gone down and that we continue to go down.
Thank you so much for that. That is a beautiful shout out and a beautiful share from both of you. Thank you so much for that. Now, just a couple more questions. And I think one of the questions I'm going to ask is, we look out on social media, and when there's a conversation on self-care, Black men seem to be invisible. We can take a social media stone and throw any platform. There's some woman talking about self-care. And so my question to both of you are, what self-care practices do you recommend for men? I'm going to start with Kevin.
For me, meditation. You need to be able to sit still and be centered and allow, the universe speak to you and get your thoughts together. But also, for on a, physical aspect, I'm big on massages.
Okay.
Massages is a form of self-care that allows you to release all the tension that's in your body that caused from all the stresses of your life. And so that's another form of self-care that I really am big on. And I just think self-care also comes from the tribe of people that you surround yourself with. And allow, and knowing that the tribe of people that you have created a safe space for you to feel like you could talk about anything and everything. And you know that whenever you talk about, you will not be judged. Because then, because wherever you tell them, these people generally care about you and cares about yourself. So that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you so much. And Remy, what's your self-care?
So I normally try to pray and meditate. So prayer, I haven't taken my shahada, so I pray how people who are Muslim do, with a prayer mat. I'm on my knees. But prayer, meditation, like Dad said, journaling is something that I like to do. I write freely. It doesn't matter what time of day. I don't have a specific time. If something comes to my head, I'm just gonna write it down, and then I'll put it in my journal. Or I normally carry a journal. I have several journals. So even if it deals with food, life, whatever the fact is, I write it down. And I also think that you have to take yourself out on dates.
I like that one. Yes.
Like Dad was saying, massages. I like to go get myself a pedicure, and during that day that you take yourself out on a date, it's literally yourself. Even if you're on social media, you're not interacting with anybody on social media. Even if you have your phone in your hand, you're not interacting with somebody for the next couple of hours. There'll be times where you could ask Dad, like, he won't hear from me for hours. That might be a time where I'm literally to myself. I might have my phone in my hand, right? But at the same time too, I'm not answering because I'm taking my time for me. So yeah, go out to a movie by yourself, go take yourself out to eat, do things of that sort. Go to the the mini golf course, something, take yourself out every once in a while. If you can do it once a week, that's great too. But take yourself out.
Okay. I like these self-care tips, and I think men need to start incorporating them into their lives because they need to take care of themselves, and we need them well rested and well nurtured. So I'm going to look at this question. So this is my final question for both of you, actually. And I think I'm going to phrase it this way. Looking at your journey so far, Kevin, with everything that you've done and everything you do, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self and an 18-year-old Remy?
Well, I would give my 18-year-old self.
Yes. And an 18-year-old Remy.
Remy, you can go first.
No, no, no. This is for you because
Oh,
this
this
is
is for
about you.
me.
Yes, this is you. So the question is, if you can go back to your 18-year-old self and an 18-year-old Remy, what advice would you give both of them
Honestly,
based on your journey so far?
honestly, um, enjoy the journey. Um, don't try to control the journey. Let the journey control. No, let go along with where the universe is guiding you.
Right.
And because a lot of times the setbacks that I receive uh, is because I want to be in control instead of being um, obedient to where He's guiding me. And so, if I could tell anybody, my 18-year-old self, the 18-year-old Remy, is to enjoy the journey, but don't try to be in control of the journey. The
Right.
journey, the journey is going to guide you. And a lot of times we feel we know where we want to go for ourselves, but the universe know better. And so if we just allow the universe to guide you and be obedient to that, it'll be much better.
I like that. So basically, it's enjoy the journey, don't try to control the process, and allow yourself to enjoy it and follow through.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So, my final question for Remy. Remy, looking at you mentioned you're a father of three. What do you want your legacy to your children to be?
Ooh, that's a big one. That is a big one. Wow. I was crazy. I don't even think I've ever really thought about that yet.
Okay.
So I can say this. I want my kids to know that daddy was himself through thick and thin. He was unapologetic with everything he did. And that it's okay to be you.
Hmm.
You know, it's okay to be you, that you can breathe as you walk, and stopping within your journey doesn't mean your journey is over, or doesn't mean you won't go the course that you want to go. Sometimes you have to stop to watch and listen. Um, and I think that's what I want my kids to understand, and to know that that's what would help them through life. So I guess legacy wise, it's crazy. I've never been asked that question yet. And I think I have to really start thinking about that.
Well, I think what you've laid down is a great start for a legacy for anyone. And so, what we can do is we'll probably get you back, not even a probably, we'll definitely get you back on the show after you've had some time to think about it. And also, when Nat Monge has moved on a bit and there's some new developments, because I know that, like you said, there's some things cooking up that you're going to be sharing in the future. So, we'll definitely get you back on the show.
All right, heard that.
So, Kevin, Remy, thank you both for being my guests today. And I cannot thank you both enough, especially for Kevin for the work that you're doing for Black men and actually just and for Black women as well, because you're also a wellness practitioner. So that journey to wellness, the physical and the mental, and Chef Remy with educating us on food and giving us a whole new food journey to go on. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm looking forward to trying that burger because you said bacon jam, so we're definitely going to talk about that. So it's been a pleasure. Guys, you know what to do. You've listened to the show. You want to find out more about Kevin and Remy, go and look them up on social media and on their websites. Hit them up, reach out to Kevin, find out about his 2 books, pick them up. Let's support the community. You know what to do. And if you are in the Atlanta area, you want to go and find Remy and sample his great cooking. Remy, where are you that they can find you and stop over and enjoy your great cooking?
So right now I'm at Muss and Turner's in Smyrna, Atlanta.
Okay.
So, or Smyrna, Georgia, sorry. So you can stop by there and ask for Chef Remy, and yeah, I'll be there. You'll probably even see me. You'll see the locks. You'll see everything. So yeah.
So you know where to go. Go find him, taste the food, send me back the info because I'm all the way over in London. I'm not coming to ATL anytime soon. So let me know how this food is. We want pictures. We want to know. Taste the food for me. Give me the feedback. Guys, it's been a blast. I've had so much pleasure having you on the show. People, you know what to do. You like the show, give it a like, reach out to Kevin, reach out to Remy on socials. Let's keep this going. But it's been a wrap and it's a pleasure. Good night.
Good night.
Take care. Peace.